All right, so looking at our segment lengths. So now we're going to start looking at lengths. Before we were looking at angles and arcs, and now we're going to be looking at actual distances of chords or secants and tangents inside of circles. So to look at our equations, if you look at when you have intersecting chords, so it's A, I guess I'll do all colors, times B, so it's the sections on the same chord, is equal to C times D. Okay, so that's how that works. Looking at when it's two secants. So if you look at this is a secant, that's a secant. You have an outside part, A and C, as well as inside parts, B and D. So looking, you have your A. That's your A. It's A times A plus the B. Okay, so that's your formula, A times A plus B. C is now your outside part, and just like before, C times C plus the inside part. So that's for that one. And use your formulas. You can always reference your formula chart. So I would also make sure if you like the highlighting that that's included on there. So a secant and a tangent. So in this case, you have an A, which if you look, it's A squared, is equal to B times B plus C. Okay, so it's just simple formulas, but you do need to make sure you understand that when it's a chord, it's just on the inside. When it's a secant, it goes to the outside. Or if you have a secant and a tangent, the secant is going to have two parts and your tangent is A squared. So looking at number 29, if we look, we have two chords. So what we're going to have is our A and the B is equal to C times D. So when we do our math, we have 21 times 10 is equal to 14 times x. So we have 200, this will be 210 is equal to 14x. You divide by 14, you get that x is 15. Looking at number 30, it's the same thing. So highlighting, these two go together. And then these two go together. As long as you recognize that they lay on the same line, that's what goes together. You would have 6 times x minus 1 is equal to 4 times x plus 2. So then you distribute, you have a 6x minus 6 is equal to 4x plus 8. And then you have to solve. So I'm going to subtract the 4x from both sides. I'm going to add 6 to both sides. You get that we have a 2x is equal to 14. You divide by 2, you get that x is 7. All right, so those are how you do when it's chord. Now if we start looking at the bottom, we look at number 31. And this time I'll make sure you can see it. We have two secants. All right, if we have two secants, our formula, I'll write it so is A times A plus B is equal to C times C plus D. So if we have A and B, we can call this C and D. So A is 7 times 7 plus X is equal to 8 times 8 plus 13. So simple PEMDAS rules, you have to add this together first, and you get 8 times 21. And you distribute over here, so you have 49 plus 7x. Then you would multiply that. That comes to 168. You subtract 49, you have 7x is equal to 119. So then x is equal to 17. So that's your secants. Now I don't want to do all of them, but let's go ahead and do this one right here. So it's going to be the outside times the outside plus the inside is equal to the outside times the outside plus the inside, okay? That's how I remember with secants. Outside times outside plus inside, outside times outside plus inside. So 7 times 7 would be 49 because you have to distribute it to everything inside. So we have plus 28x minus 7 is equal to 81 plus 9x plus 18. If you combine your like terms, over here you end up with 28x plus 42 is equal to 9x plus 99. You move your numbers around, you get that it's 19x is equal to 57. So what I did was I subtracted 9x over here, I subtracted 42. You get 19x is equal to 57. You divide, you get x is equal to 3. Okay. If we look at number 33, I'm going to skip because it's just like 31. If you look at number 34, that's a tangent and a secant. So here's my tangent and here's my secant. So what, remember, you have a squared is equal to b times b plus c. So this is your a, this is the b, and this is the c. So when you substitute in, you have 20 squared is equal to outside times outside plus inside. So 20 squared would be 400. As you distribute the 16, you get 256 plus 16x. You subtract 256, you get 144 is equal to 16x. You divide by 16, x equals 9. So I'll do one more. Let's just go with number 35. I don't know why. We'll go with it. So this would be your a, the b, and the c. So remember, it's a squared, is equal to, let me see, just making sure, b times b plus c. So if we start writing it in, remember it's a binomial, so it needs to go in parentheses, is equal to x plus 5 times x plus 5 plus 9. That looks a little crazy. Remember, this x squared means that you have x plus 9 times x plus 9 over here. So when you multiply it out, you end up with x squared plus 9x plus 9x plus 81. So you end up with x squared plus 18x is equal to 81 plus 81. On this side, once we simplify this, we have x plus 5 is times x plus 14. So this is all still on the other side of the equals. So then you would have to multiply it out. You get it's x squared plus 5x plus 14x plus 70. You simplify, you have x squared plus 19x plus 70. Whew, that's a lot. You have to know how to either FOIL or box method or distribute. So as we go through to move things around, let's go ahead. The x squareds, there's one on each side. If you subtract the x squared from each side, they go away. So those cancel out. You have your 18x plus 81 is equal to 19x plus 70. So if you subtract 70 from over here, subtract 18x, you end up with, over here we have 11 is equal to x. That's a lot. Gonna have to remember your algebra skills to do good at that.